What is absolute or pure consciousness, and how does this relate to non-duality and your experience of non-duality?
Mm. Well, let's leave my experience out of it for a moment and just talk about what is pure consciousness.
Yeah.
This is what I would say. The most important thing to understand about pure consciousness is it's just a name. And that what it's trying to refer to is the underlying non-dual reality. In other words, when you remove all particular things, all particular views, all subjects, all objects, all concepts, all events, time, space, etc., 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 what's left? So you could say, in a way, pure consciousness is nothing at all. It is, as Franklin Merrill Wolff called it, consciousness without objects. In other words, no content. What is consciousness when you remove all the contents of consciousness? And that's what pure consciousness is. And there's a good argument to be made for calling it consciousness itself or pure consciousness. And that argument, I would say, is that the way we generally understand things, we say we understand it through our conscious experience. And in that sense, everything that we've ever experienced, everything that we've ever known, everything that we've ever seen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we've experienced through this, what we call consciousness. And because that consciousness encompasses all things, there is a strong argument to me, well, if we really get to that which is encompasses all things, it makes sense to just call it consciousness itself or pure consciousness. Other traditions might call it Dharmakaya or God or Tao or et cetera, et cetera. There's no end to the kind of names that's been given to this fundamental reality, but that's what it is, the fundamental reality.
Which I guess goes back a little bit to emptiness.
Yes, yes. And it's why I would say the Heart Sutra spends so much time talking about emptiness. We all know form,
Yeah.
we're well acquainted with form. It's the emptiness that we've lost track of. And so that's why there's so much emphasis on the path of going beyond form, going beyond ideas, going beyond concepts, going beyond thought. And that's because we've lost track of that fundamental reality. We've forgotten about pure consciousness. And, and we've mistaken various things and objects for reality.
Yes, as we've talked about, the Heart Sutra negates everything. It
Yeah.
just says this is empty, this is empty, this is nothing, this is including attainment,
Yes, it's
including the spiritual path.
the negative path, and the Heart Sutra is not alone in doing that. For example, in the Indian tradition, you have this neti neti methodology, which is not this, not that. So wherever you look, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. Or as Nisargadatta Maharaj put it, nothing you perceive can be what you are. And also, I will add the mystical theology by Dionysius the Areopagite, who was a Christian mystic, outlines the same exact methodology, a method of removing all things and seeing what's left.
And how does this relate to non-duality?
Ultimately, that fundamental reality is non-dual.
Right.
Yeah. In other words, there, as they say in the Indian tradition, Brahman, which is their word for this fundamental reality, for pure consciousness, is one without second. In other words, there's nothing but Brahman. That's all there is. And that's why it's called non-dual. This word non-dual comes from Advaita Vedanta, which means non-dual Vedanta. What it means is that there is nothing else. That's all there is. Where you end up in this line of thinking is pure consciousness is all there is. That's all there is. There is nothing else.
So there's not more of that in you than there is in me.
No. What part didn't you understand? That's all there is. There is no me, there is no you, there is only pure consciousness. Yeah.
All right then.